Hey folks, welcome back to Kraken Packs, and today I'm going to teach you how to run a card shop from your house. So today we're going to be talking about how to run a card shop from your house. And as kind of homage, if you folks are familiar with card shop life, originally Darium had a Magic Gathering focused channel where they did like card shop life and the ins and outs of being at a brick and mortar store. There've been some kind of references and different series and takes on this over the years, including Revenge of Card Shop Life. So today, to continue that lineage, we're going to do eCard Shop Life. So the first thing I'm going to have to teach you is how to use TCGPlayer, because in my opinion, out of all the online stores and marketplaces that we have, TCGPlayer is my absolute favorite place to sell, well, trading cards. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get cracking orders. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is different things that you need to be able to do this, from everything from obviously a computer, but to different types of printers and things and options that you can use to be able to get the most out of yours. We're of course going to be learning how I do this and my process that I've gained over the last 5-6 years of doing, more focused on like the specifics of listing tons of cards versus before that I was just listing maybe things here and there. Now it's evolved into an inventory of over hundreds of thousands of cards. So how do you manage that, and how do you make sure that not only are you getting product, but you're also sending product out? These are the things that I want to talk about in this series, and this is episode 1, as well as we're going to cover topics in other videos such as dealing with customer relations, getting your brand out there, getting product, how to sort the product, bringing people in, all these different things that are kind of different headaches and different things that need troubleshooting on how you're going to do this from your house. We're also going to talk about how much you might need to start your initial investment of just getting your business running off the ground. As small as something of buying your first booster pack and getting on a TCGPlayer, to bringing in cases and cases of stuff, and how do you move those products. At the end of the day, I want you to feel confident that there is a way to bring in income through a hobby that we're all very passionate about, which is trading cards, whether it's just making $20 at the end of the week or making this a business that you want to pursue full time. Hopefully you can learn from my mistakes and all the things I've screwed up on, and to learn the process that I'm at now that I feel pretty confident in sharing with you. In the first episode, you're going to kind of see what my process is and the things that I've learned from trial and error. So it'll be kind of a crash course on what I do. In other videos, I'll talk about the different options and alternatives that you could use that aren't necessarily my method. So hopefully you can figure out your own method that's based on what works for you. So I'm going to break down this entire process of what I've learned through trial and error into 3 steps. Step 1 is actually getting the information of the cards that you need to pull, as well as the customer's information. Step 2 is going to be actually physically pulling the cards from your inventory and getting them staged to be shipped in envelopes. 3 is going to be actually putting them in the envelopes, protecting them, top loaders, getting them packaged, taking them to the post office. We're just going to start with my mainstay, which is TCGPlayer.com. Currently have 67 orders, so we're going to go ahead and hit those, and you guys will see in real time kind of what that looks like. Okay, so the first thing to know about TCGPlayer is that there is a small, not necessarily an approval process, but I guess kind of like a different parameters that you have to meet when you first sign up with TCGPlayer. At the end of the day, you're just sending out cards, but it's kind of like they slowly increase the things that you can do until you unlock all the benefits, so to speak, right? So what I'm saying is there's a level system. When you first sign up, it's either like you're level 4 or you're level 1 and you work your way to the other one. I think it's you start at level 1 and you level up, right? So when you first start out, the requirements used to be you need to get like 10 feedback and you need to send out X amount of cards. So maybe it's like, maybe to get like 10 feedback, you want to list like 100 cards and maybe even list them below their market value. Again, like you're making that initial investment, so you might want to just get leveled up as soon as possible. So send out your orders. What I personally did was I started with having prices that were lower. Like if it was, let's say Change of Heart, which just came out of the ban list, to say that a legendary collection one is like $20. I'm not sure what it's at the moment, but let's just roll with that, right? I would price it at $15 where someone's going to buy it quick. And then when I send it out, I would actually write a handwritten note like, thank you for buying this. Feedback is greatly appreciated for a new seller like me if you had a good time, yada, yada, yada. And it actually worked pretty well. So you want to do that all the way up to level 4. And once you're at level 4, you have complete free reign. Unlike eBay, you can have as many cards and items listed as you want with no charge at all. And the fee structure is very similar to that of eBay's. It actually might be a little bit cheaper too. Maybe, I feel like eBay's hovering around that 12%. I think TCGPlayer is about 10%. So the main thing that you want to do is hit that level, and then from there, your bigger thing that you want to grow into and make sure this is right for you is looking into TCGPlayer Direct and looking into becoming a pro seller. So with a pro seller, you get to use software like QuickList, which will just automatically scan and database your cards right into the inventory system, which is great, right? Because looking up on the inventory system, we can actually see it over here, our pricing tab, our inventory system, you know, finding a set and going to the card, and then it's gonna come up down here. It's just way quicker to scan it, get a giant list. You can usually do around like 1,000 to 2,000 cards, depending if they're pre-sorted, an hour, and then just get them right on live. And then on top of that, that's your pro seller benefit. it. Beyond that, you want to look into doing TCGPlayer Direct if you're mostly selling Pokemon cards, Magic cards, or Yu-Gi-Oh! With Yu-Gi-Oh! Being the one that's actually a little bit more difficult because it's new to the program. So there's a lot of good information on TCGPlayer Direct, and forgive me again, I'm kind of going through everything fast, but I do want to do a bigger video where it's like each focus on these individual topics. To be clear, TCGPlayer Direct is a system where people buy cards from TCGPlayer, and then at the end of like a week or two, they will send you a reimbursement item. So it's going from, the cards are going from, the buyer buys the order with TCGPlayer Direct, but it's under your name. So it's coming from Kraken Packs TCG. However, TCGPlayer then will ship those items, and then, anywhere from like 3 days to maybe like 2 weeks, depending on your volume, you then replenish those cards. What that system does is TCGPlayer is then able to handle everything with the customer. If they have any issues or whatever, they're able to send out mass amounts of cards, but at the same time, you don't have to pay, 75 cents for a stamp and all these different things to send the card. Also, they are sending thousands of your orders. You don't have to pay 55 cents for a stamp and all these things. And if something happens, interact with the buyer, TCGPlayer is going to do that. So you can sell cards that are like 3 cent, 4 cent, 5 cents and make profit on those cards because you don't have to pay shipping for just one 3 cent card, one 5 cent card, which, let's be honest, that's crazy. You're going to completely like negative out and not have any money back if you're spending it all on shipping 3 cent cards. It's just not going to happen. But because they're buying thousands of cards from you, if you have the big enough inventory, all those cards are being sent one time just to TCGPlayer. So I might have an order of like 2,000 cards and only pay $8 in shipping that, versus if you were to do that individually, I mean, almost every 2 cards plus $1 for shipping, right, for every individual card. So 55 cents, that times 2,000, it's just not going to happen. So you definitely want to work your way towards TCGPlayer Direct with the ability to keep in mind that is a bigger endeavor. So it's really just depends on what level you want trading cards to play in your income and what it means to you as a hobby. For me, I like having a part-time job where I'm able to do this, but I don't want to go like, have millions of cards and be the next like Channel Fireball or something, right? To me, I just want to be able to have this as a supplementary income along with YouTube, Twitch, and then my main jobs, which is working in the music industry, doing that. This is great for me because I'll give you one more piece of advice. If you do want to do something entrepreneurial, 3 sources of income. You need to have 3 of those lined up, because when one business is doing well, the other might not be doing well. But at the same time, that other business might be doing okay. So if this one starts to do really bad, at least this business might start to get better, and maybe this one is down in revenue that month, but TCGPlayer is popping up. You see what I mean? So you can kind of work towards being your own boss if that's what your goal is, and I assume there must be some extent of that if you're here watching this video. So just keep that in mind, but this will supplement one part of your income. I don't know about it being your full-time job off the bat. It's just not going to happen. But over time, you can build this up slowly and slowly like I've done over the last decade or so. Let's go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty of this. The first thing you want to do is on your home screen, you can see, your total live inventory, which right now I've actually sold a ton. So I'm only down to 12,000, which is really low. We have a backlog literally sitting here that's like another 200,000 cards, which is just like, anyways, still have to get through that and get that sorted. But beyond that, we have 70 orders of non-direct. So this is the non-direct stuff because that shows up separately. This is what the orders that I'm gonna have to ship by hand individually. I'm sure there's a lot of questions that come up with this, like, hey, Jim, you sold a card for only 14 cents and the shipping amount was this, and after fees, like, you're actually not making any money on that 14-cent card. Yeah, you're right. Anything below 30 cents, traditionally, you're not gonna be able to make any money off of that. However, if you have TCGPlayer Direct, then you just want to list as much as possible, because I've done the math on this and I have a video in the works actually showing this in a spreadsheet. The amount of volume that you do by just listing cards and having them sell just bulk 3-cent cards, energies, lands, whatever, the amount of volume you do with that versus like the $20 that you might lose just selling these 14-cent cards, it works itself out. You end up making a lot more money. And as they say, you got to spend money to make money. I see the $10 that I spent on this, or $5 or whatever in shipping here that I lost on some of these orders. This 14-cent one, this 10-cent, this 15-cent one. But the vast majority of stuff, again, you're gonna make it back through TCGPlayer Direct. And if you look, there's also a bunch of ones where I made 20 cents here, I made 17 cents here, I made 10 cents here. You pretty much reach that equilibrium point. So beyond that, this is definitely the move to make. Once you have this going and you have all your orders placed, what you're gonna wanna do is make a pull sheet, a packing slip, and export the shipping. To do that, we're gonna click on all open orders. With that in mind, if you have over 25, you need to just set it so that you can see all of them over here with 100. And then we're gonna go ahead and select everybody's. I'm gonna do a quick scan just to see if anyone has a very expensive order. Anything over like $20, $30, you should probably ship with tracking. Anything over $50, you have to ship with tracking. And I think anything over like 250, you have to do a signature. Like TCGPlayer requires that, which because you should be doing it anyways. 70 cents, $5. These are probably all fine. Again, over $20 is where you start to kind of bring in that thought process of like, does it really need tracking or not? Vast majority of people aren't trying to mess with you or play games with you or take you on a ride or anything. Vast majority of people just want their cards. They're not trying to scam you, but you do have that like 1 or 2%, you know, someone's gonna place an order and just say they never got it just because. That comes with anything. And I'll be honest with you, if you had a brick and mortar store, you're gonna deal with way more theft and those kind of issues than being online. So someone taking your money over a $3 card, it sucks. It used to really piss me off. You just move on with your life and you just sell lots of cardboard and you forget about those people. And you can block them if you want. So if you feel like someone's taking you on a ride, go ahead and block them. So we've got this. We're gonna create a pull sheet. All right, so now what I do is once we have that, I just label it pull sheet and whatever the date is. Today we're recording 6/20/22. And then I usually do version 1 in case we need to edit it, because some of the stuff we do kind of manipulate a little bit. Something to note is that these files are like older versions of Excel sheets. So because it's just easier for, I guess, the backend that they're using here to just read that. There is a point where we're going to start doing like, we'll go into one of these and just to sort out the cards before we pull them using, you know, like bold and all these things. It's not going to capture on that, so you have to update the file, but I'll show you that when we get there. Next is packing slips. So this is the physical thing that you will slide in with the cards. And as well as when you go to do orders later on, you're going to see what I'm talking about here. So we do packing key slip. And again, this is just my process. 22, version 1, save that. And then we're gonna export the shipping. So shipping, you're gonna see what I'm doing to bring in the shipping and make this like as hassle-free as possible. I used to write out names on all the envelopes and I used to write the return address and do physical stamps and all this stuff. Gotta spend money to make money. So I use an automated software to just bring this stuff in and print labels. You're gonna see this here in a little bit. So I usually do SE 6.2 version 1. And we'll just import that file over to our postage software, which is Enthusiast. So we've got that. We will come back in here and we'll mark these as shipped once we're done with all the orders. You know what the worst part is? Licking the envelopes. Use glue, people. Don't give me COVID. KK sliding into your DMs. All right, so here we are in my beautiful file directory over here. You can see there's some old ones in here. I usually drag them and plop them in the old one, but there's one thing with an order I want to double check, so I haven't done that yet. But up here at the top, this is our brand new stuff for today. We have our packing slip again, which is an Adobe file, which by the way, you'll see this. I actually don't open it in Adobe. I open it in Firefox or whatever that you're using. Specifically, I use Firefox for this because Adobe limits like how many pages that you can have at the same time. It's like 2. And when you're doing this kind of stuff and you're looking at the packing slips, you're gonna wanna see like 4 or 5 at a time because you're just gonna be reading through it. At least the process that I do. Let me show you guys what this looks like. So first thing we have is the shipping export, which is just a ton of data. Again, this is just to show you. Actually, I don't know if I've ever come in here to do anything on the actual Excel sheet, but I just want you to know what it looks like. It's everybody's addresses, the order notes and stuff. We're just gonna import that right into Enthusiast. Next, I'm gonna show you what the packing slips look like. Pretty straightforward, but this is the little note, you know, you get in the mail. And so again, I open this on Firefox. The main reason is Firefox will usually keep this by default. And again, with Adobe, you can probably maybe figure out a way to have more screens. Maybe I don't know, you can do all the pages and stuff. The other thing is like by default, I don't want to save it to do that because I use Adobe for teaching and all these different things. And I need it just to be one scrolling sheet. So it's just easier for me to open it in the browser. Okay, so this is what our packing sheets look like. But you know, you have the seller's name and it gives you essentially the order to work through these in. Because when we go to our pull sheet, which you're about to see next, that's where we're gonna preemptively grab everything from the bins and the inventory, the 5,000 count boxes, and go ahead and get everything situated so that we can start breaking it down by order. Now, I will tell you, depending on the level that you're doing this, if you're just starting out, this process is gonna be a lot more straightforward. You're literally just gonna go grab the open orders, just print your tab. You know, you could still throw stamps on at that point. I would recommend printing the labels because sometimes we misprint things or write something down, a typo, anything like that, and you've screwed up somebody's order. Or if you're like me and you have chicken scratch handwriting, they're not gonna know where the f***'s in that. Definitely get some kind of small labels to print out. You can just use inkjet. This is where the process evolves for me because even in this 70 orders, it's probably a couple hundred cards. So I need to just go through one bin and do that. So one of the processes that you're gonna also see with this is that I batch everything. So I try to batch as many things as possible. So I'm just focused on one task and I just do all of it and then I go to the next one because I find that if like I'm packing, if I'm looking at this and then I go to pull the cards and then I put it in the top loader and I do this and put it in that.
It's called batching.
it takes me a longer time because I'm constantly switching positions on what I'm doing. And one thing about this is that time is a huge factor, and time is money. The more time you spend doing this, the less money you're making, and honestly, the more you're wasting your time. And I'm not saying you have to be like Elon Musk over here, like super efficient robot AI. You don't have to do that, but you need to eliminate as much extra time, because honestly, do you really want to spend all your time putting cards in an envelope, or would you rather be enjoying the hobby and opening the cards or playing Yu-Gi-Oh or playing Magic or something? Get this knocked out and go about your day. All right, so now we're gonna open the pool sheet, and this is actually where we have to do a little custom work in Excel just to make this as efficient as possible. So this is what it looks like by default. I sell lots of different cards, but because Yu-Gi-Oh is new to TCGPlayer Direct, their inventory as a whole is a lot more limited to only really new sets and mostly like near mint stuff, where Magic and Pokemon are older and they have just a way bigger inventory. So the majority of that stuff goes to TCGPlayer Direct, which I'll do a video on that, and if it's already out, you'll see it up above me. This is what it looks like to do normal pool orders. We're gonna go through and do a couple things here. First thing I do is I just go ahead and do this, which if you're really good with macros, you could actually just set all this up to be macroed, but I'm just gonna show you guys, I guess, the more time consuming way, because again, you wanna make sure everything is as streamlined as possible. If you feel like you're spending a little bit too much time doing something, find a more efficient way to do it and get it done. Okay, so now that we've got all these moved around, I'm gonna just talk about each bracket and why they do or don't matter. So you have your product line. So I'm gonna make this bold so that it stands out to me when I go to actually pull the cards. You have your product line, your product name, condition, number, set, rarity, quantity, and your main photo URL. Obviously, some of these are self-explanatory, but I'm gonna talk about why some of these don't matter for certain things and why they really matter for others. So the first thing we need to look at is the set. With Magic the Gathering and Pokemon, there is no set code, okay? So like Modern Masters 2016 is Modern Masters 2016. So it'll say that for the set, and then you have the number code, so like the actual number that the card is. In Yu-Gi-Oh, we have the set name, say Legend of Blue Eyes. We have the abbreviated name that's on the card, LOB, and then we have the actual card number in the set. So with Magic and Pokemon, as you can see up here, that's the only way you're really gonna find where these are in your bins and when we go to pull them and sort them. So why that's important is with Yu-Gi-Oh, you actually don't even need to look at the names of the set once you start memorizing the set. So once I get past the Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon Magic stuff, I actually just don't even look at that. I don't even want to see it because I don't need it. I pulled this up on an iPad and it's kind of small and condensed. I only want the information I need. And again, you can set up macros to when this loads up, you can just hit a button and it'll just auto do all this stuff. How we need to sort this is by what's called number, but it's actually by set is what we need to do. Again, this is where Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon are a little bit different. If I have a lot of Pokemon orders and a lot of Magic orders that for some reason have gone to me and not gone through Direct, I'll actually just copy and paste them into another tab and then do a sort process that's slightly different. That way you have two sheets. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and sort from A to Z. Like, sure you wanna do that? I'm like, hell yeah, I wanna do that. Look at that, beautiful. Okay, so it's A to Z. And then the other things that I need to move around is I usually copy this because I don't want that to be the first thing I look at. Again, these are all just small details, but I've just tried to get as efficient as possible. If you're just like, I just want to take my time, whatever, then don't worry about this. But in my opinion, this is the make or break between me doing this all day or me doing this for a small portion of the day, opening boxes, playing guitar, petting my cat, going to the beach, spending millions of dollars. Okay, so I moved the quantity over here, and then main photo URL there, and then product line if I need to reference it. Honestly, a lot of times, like my photo ones are pretty limited to just some foreign cards. Yeah, that's right. I'm the dude listing foreign cards on TCGPlayer. You know why? And you know how you get annoyed with that? Guess what? Magic has a entire catalog on TCGPlayer to list foreign cards. Yu-Gi-Oh does not. And when I contacted them and I said, hey, I want to sell foreign cards on there, is that okay? I don't want to flood anything. They were like, yeah, that's completely fine. Just make sure that you take a picture of it and you can do whatever you want. So if you're like me and you're like, I kind of hate seeing the foreign cards when I'm just looking for the English cards, please send an email to support@tcgplayer.com and tell them, please implement this for Yu-Gi-Oh, because I'm like one of few people that are like, can you guys just literally copy the infrastructure that you have from the foreign cards and just bring it over to the Yu-Gi-Oh ones, because there's also foreign cards that their sets don't exist here. It's just a huge headache, and they should do it with Pokemon too. At some point they probably will, but I don't know, they're missing out on money because yeah, foreign cards actually really do sell pretty well, as anybody that watches my channel know. Okay, so got that moved over, and I'm just gonna override the photo URL with this. Again, I'll know. We'll know when we see them. And then that's pretty much it. Now you have this as condensed as possible. Again, do that. I'll check the Magic ones when I get over there. So the only thing I do with the photo URLs is that if there's cards that are unique and have a photo or something, I will just highlight them real quick. So that way it stands out to me when I'm pulling it, but as we can see, there's not a lot. And then at the very bottom, we have like these random order numbers. You don't need any of that too, so I just delete it. Again, macros. So I'm gonna put this here. Right there. So obviously I'm explaining the process, but you can do this in, you know, like a minute or two and just get it done. And then all the cards are in the order of from Abyss Rising, for example, or like a 5D starter set where it's like 5Ds, whatever. So yeah, A to Z. And then we go ahead and file and save this. And this is why I do different versions. We go into pull sheets, and this is the important part. So this is what I was talking about. Unicode text doesn't have any kind of formatting. What we just did does have formatting. So we just need to save this as a new file, which is pull sheet 6.2 version 2. And this is the one we're going to want to reference when we go to pull cards. Now, you have two options for this. You can either print this spreadsheet and do it by hand. I know some people like to do that. I just have it on the iPad, so I just go through with the Apple Pencil and just mark through things, and that's it. So that's it for the first initial steps, just getting all the information you need to get the cards for the customers prepped. We're on to step 2.